Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. It is officially June, my friends, which means it's time once again to eat Red and save lives. Now, in its 5th year, Red's annual culinary campaign features an incredible lineup of chefs, food and drink activations, dining experiences, and of course, really cool products, all aimed at raising money and awareness for the global fund to fight AIDS. I have got a ridiculously awesome panel here to tell us all about it. We're going to get started in just a second. Just to let you guys know, CEO of Red, Deb Dugan is here. Make some noise, please. Yeah, from the Beatrice Inn, Chef Angie is here. Keep it going. From Thaimee Table, Chef Thaimee is here. Founder of Dana's Bakery, Dana Pollack is here. And founder of PlaceInvaders, Smith-Adair is here. How about that, huh? That's a panel. That is a panel. Now, I'm super excited, obviously. We're going to get started in just a second. But before we do, we have a really fantastic video from the campaign. So, Luke, let's go ahead and run that clip.
For 20 cents, you get a marshmallow,
a bite of steak,
a peanut,
a prune.
For 20 cents, you get that much pizza,
this much eel,
that much frosting.
You get spice.
the pill that keeps you alive if you're HIV positive, it costs 20 cents a day.
That's amazing. Everybody, one more time, make some noise for your panel. 20 cents. First of all, thank you, everyone, for being here and making time to come hang out with us and talk to us about all the amazing stuff you got going on this month. We're going to get into it in a second. Deb, I'd love to start with you. One, welcome back. So nice to have you here again.
Thank you.
And two, just talk to us a little bit. This is the 5th year, I believe, right, of Eat Red. Take us back in time. What was the inspiration? How's it evolved over time?
Well, it's interesting. In 1981, on June 5th, the AIDS was discovered, right? So it's a relatively new pandemic in the planet. And since that time, 35 million people have died, and there's 37 million now alive with HIV. Oddly, 21 million in just the last, I would say, 20 years. There's been a huge push by governments and NGOs and the UN. It's one of the millennial goals to eliminate mother-child transmission of the disease by 2020 and get it off the planet, which is possible by 2030 because it's a preventable disease. But what's happening now and why this is so important is governments are pulling back, and it's just a very precarious time when the world is taking care of its own, which is really important. But who's watching for the poorest of the poor on the planet and the voiceless? So what we try to do is put some red hot heat on the problem. And in June, it's our culinary event to eat red and save lives. As you saw, it's only 20 cents a day to keep somebody alive. We've raised over $500 million. I know, and then lots of noise.
Yeah,
so
hang
if
on,
you
hang
go,
on. Let's hold for applause for $500 million. That's an incredible achievement. That is something to truly be proud of.
And 100% of the money goes from the partners to the Global Fund to the ground. And so we don't take any of that money. The Global Fund doesn't take any money. It's a 100% model. And we've impacted the lives of 110 million people. So it works, but it only works if everybody gets involved. Yeah. And so we try to give lots of tools and lots of different ways to get involved. Hence these amazing women with us today.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. And just to that end, red.org, I'm going to say it 1,000,000 times, and to follow you guys at Red, because that's like the first and easiest step, just to seeing some of the things that you can do. Forgive my ignorance, has Eat Red been around since the beginning of Product Red, since the initial days of Red?
No. So
right?
It's a good point, because that was your initial question, like, why did we do food? Like, we go to people's passions. And millennials would rather now go to a food festival than a music festival. And it is really important, what we say, is to fish where the fish are. What are people craving? Why do they want cool experiences to show up somewhere and have an amazing meal? And so we look at all the different ways from Instagram to Snapchat to your bakery to a phenomenal restaurant, whether it's $10, $100, there's always some quick way that you could participate in the month of June.
There's, speaking about like what millennials love to do, there's a particular partnership this year. Katie, this is the first year that PlaceInvaders is partnering up with Red. It's very exciting, but I want to talk about that. Before we do, for the uninitiated in the room, just a quick, what is PlaceInvaders for those that haven't heard of it? Because it's ridiculously cool what you're doing.
Thank you so much. So PlaceInvaders is a company that my boyfriend and I founded about 4 years ago. We were curious about real estate. We like the experience of going to a dinner party, and it's not something that you really do that often, especially as New Yorkers. And of course you want to know what other people have in their cool brownstones or what great lofts people live in. So the concept is we take over a home, we host events over the course of a weekend, open a little sort of pop-up restaurant. The events are ticketed, so the table is full of strangers who are very adventurous. The owners are not home, so you get to be a little bit of a voyeur in the real estate as well. And we bring beautiful chefs to the table for the full meal, and brings together a lot of interesting, groups and real estate and great food.
It's a pretty amazing concept. How has partnering with Red changed your approach to planning this year's outing? So I know part of it is you don't know until the day of where the pop-ups are going to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, Red has absolutely brought some amazing chefs like Angie to the table, which has been really, really awesome. And just, folks who we've been talking to for maybe a couple of years about coming and doing an event with us, as soon as they hear Red's on board, they're there. So that's been really great. We've got a series in LA and a series in New York, and we've got really awesome chefs coming and creating the menus for all of those, so that's been great.
It's pretty amazing. Angie, have you ever worked on something like this before, this sort of secret pop-up dinner party? Is this a new experience, a similar experience? What's it been like for you?
It's going to be a new experience for me, and I'm super excited to work with Katie. I think it's going to be so fun, and to be able to take, what we do at the Beatrice and transport it into somebody's home, and, one of my dreams is to just have, cook for like 30, 40 people a night and do whatever we want, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and to be able to partner with Katie and also Patty Jackson, it's going to be a really great event.
Yeah, and that's the only thing we know so far is the chefs. We don't know the location. We don't know the menu, right? Or
we don't usually share the menu in advance. We can let you know that it's in the West Village. But we don't share the address with anybody other than ticket holders. So you'll get an email first thing in the morning.
Exciting. We're going to get into a second because there's so many fun things, and I wanted to talk about the special menu items you all have going around. But I have to ask one last question. Katie, craziest place you've set up one of these pop-up dinners?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. In Detroit, we've had some really cool spaces. We used Barry Gordy's, it's called the Motown Mansion in Boston Edison Historic District of Detroit. The Jackson 5 used to play croquet in the yard, and the owner used to live next door. So many stories there.
Barry Gordy's Motown Mansion.
Amazing.
You had to hesitate to give me that answer. That's the answer.
A lot of great spaces, but that's, that was
Not any better.
That's a star.
That's the top. That's the list right there.
We keep raising the bar.
All right, well, let's get into it. We, like I said, a lot of special menu items. Dana, we've got the macaroons, which everybody, I believe, got a chance to try here, right? A little round of applause for the macaroons. Hung, I saw there's a special red sauce. And Angie, we've got cocktails, fried chicken. I want to go around the horn and just each talk a little bit about the special menu offerings this year, what they are, and then I want to get into sort of how you come up with those ideas. So we'll start here and then we'll work around.
Sure. Yeah. So, obviously at the Beatrice, we're really well known for beef. But what a lot of people don't know is we actually have a fantastic late night scene at the bar. So we do fried chicken, there's always champagne, and then there, of course, are smoked Manhattans because I'm a whiskey girl. So, so what we decided to do is we decided to partner with Red and donate a portion of the proceeds from all of the smoked Manhattans and our fried chicken late night. So it's really fantastic. And then also, obviously I'm not going to share the menu for the PlaceInvaders, but, if it's me cooking, there's probably going to be beef involved.
Safe bet. Talk to us about...
That sounds amazing. I'm there. So Dana's Bakery, we specialize in French macaroons and really fun American flavors. So for the red box, which you guys got to sample earlier, we did our take on our two most popular flavors. You have 6 red velvet and 6 chocolate molten macaroons, and everything's gluten-free and kosher. And $5 from every box goes towards Eat Red.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank
and they are delicious. I was slightly delayed before coming on. I had one just before we came out, and I just needed a moment before we could start. They're so good. And what are we doing this year? I read something about a red
So
sauce.
my restaurant is a couple blocks away from here, actually. It's just on 13 and 3rd, and we serve, I like to think, the best Thai food in town.
Yeah.
And I'm doing spring roll with pickle strawberry sauce. So it's summer and strawberries red. Who doesn't like red strawberry, right? And make it into a sauce and serve with spring roll and a cocktail that would go with that, which is a secret one.
Oh, I was going to say, so there's a secret cocktail on the way.
Yeah, it makes things more interesting.
I love all the secrets and fun, like exploration and stuff. How far out do you start planning for something like this? How do you start conceptualizing what's it going to be this year, the special red item?
Well, for me, once I, made a decision that I want to join this program, I was like, okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to do. And I love to serve something, seasonal. And this is the best time to get strawberry.
Absolutely. Deb, without picking a favorite, is there like a list of items of all the special food items that are coming, is there one that you're looking for in particular that you're really excited to try?
Well, so I don't, play favorites.
No.
I will say Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream is
There we
also pretty great. And they're turning red, Blaze Pizza.
I saw the Blaze.
Oh,
I saw it nationwide.
really
All the
good. Yeah, big billboards.
Let me ask you this then. Without picking a favorite, do you have to test all of them?
I have to test them all. It's part of my job,
It's a really
It's
hard
one of
job.
my hazards of my job is that I have to make sure that fried chicken is really good. We have a brand to protect, Matt,
I picture you sitting there with the Red Sox, and then it's like the whole thing, the Vespa helmet, the whole nine.
I got to go to Bonnaroo, make sure that it's going well.
That's another thing that's happening. You're doing the Red Supper at Bonnaroo this year. So many
backstage.
incredible partnerships. I'm asking, when do we start the food conceptualization? When do you start the entire campaign, figuring out all these different partnerships?
As soon as it's over, we all meet and say, how could it be better? What worked? What didn't work? What's the wild thing that we could do? So we won an emoji for doing, we won a Webby Award for Emoji Food Fight. And we thought, wow, that actually worked really well. What is the hashtag 20 cents? What could we do this year? So always we partner with, Instagram, with Snapchat. We've got 6 million that follow us on social media. And then remember, we have, Alessi products. We have, aprons by Hadley and Bentley. And we just amazing partners.
The aprons, there's a matching like child and parent aprons, which is
they like
pretty
to
adorable.
cook together now, like parents and kids. They're all watching Top Chef and figuring out how to do meals together. It's lovely.
Absolutely lovely. What's your favorite part of partnering with Red? What is the most rewarding part for you? The most exciting part? Whoever wants to start, we can jump around. Yeah, let's go.
It's the feeling. You can tell the passion with the team, and then whatever that we do have an impact on someone's life. Yeah. That's it.
Absolutely.
For me, last year was the first time that I actually participated with Red, and I just, aside from it being such an important cause and such a tremendous charity, the team is so incredible. Seriously, Deborah, your team is amazing, and I just fell in love with you guys last year. So it's a charity that I wholeheartedly support.
Yeah, Red is 25 people here in Chelsea. That's it, and it's worldwide. But 25 of us with these great partners, we can really move the needle.
We here at Build have had the privilege of working with you for a couple of years now, and your team, and we could echo everything. It absolutely is a joy working with you guys together. Where does that passion come from? Where does that fire come from? How do you guys keep that alive and keep that flame burning and keep going every year?
The truth is that none of us come from traditional not-for-profits. We all come from businesses, from all different walks of life, and we bring that, no pun intended, to the table. And so we act very much like a startup, even though we're 11 years old. We go out, we ideate, we say, how do we apply technology to philanthropy? How do we disrupt philanthropy? How do we be the first on social to do, something with Snapchat? How do we, and we think like a startup, and then we present those ideas to our partners and say, okay, we got this wacky thing. We're thinking of doing Eat Red. What would you like to do. And it always has to be a win for the partner, which is why it's fun. And we only have done our job if Angie and everybody here is calling me next year saying, what are we doing? So,
Angie, I didn't realize last year was your first year, right? And this year, well, obviously, you're doubling down. You're doing the menus. You're doing all these different things. So obviously, they love working with you.
Well,
and you love
yeah,
working
like
together.
I said, last year was such a great experience, and there are so many charities out there that I can donate my time and my money to. So it's really saying, okay, who do I want to work with? What is the best cause? And this just happens to be one of them.
Yeah.
and people don't know that the #1 killer of women from 14 to 49 remains AIDS. It's a #1 killer of women of reproductive age. Every 2 minutes, a teen is getting HIV. Like, this is still a world health crisis. And if we don't put heat on that issue and get people to just say, okay, I'm going to just do this small thing, because I do feel like this generation, people want those tools. They say, how can I make the world better? And it might be a time when governments are pulling back and we all have to step up. And I think everybody kind of feels that. And so if we can give them small tools, buy this ice cream, do this, buy your Apple Watch, whatever it is, you can participate, and it actually does move the needle. Yeah. So,
well, I think what you guys have done phenomenally well is make it accessible, make it easy for people to help, make it cool for people to help, and you've made it visually appealing. All of these different things, you've made it incredibly delicious. You've made it hard not to help. You make it so that, like you said, much like the partner needs to be rewarded, the person giving, the person involved gets rewarded as well. How do you guys balance? That's amazing. It's the #1 killer. I didn't realize that. How do you balance sort of the gravity of the mission and still the fun of the execution and the excitement? How does that weigh on you, and how do you work with that?
Well, it's interesting because most times when you go to a place and you work, you might be making rich people richer, right? And we're working really hard. We're 25 of us. We have each other's back, and yet we know if it didn't work out with a partner, that actually people die. People die. Like, it sounds so ridiculous, but if 21 million have just been put on medication, and governments pull back, and we pull back, they don't get the life-saving medication. So we do trips to Africa. We take our partners and say, follow the red dollar. Like, I just want to show you this is what it means. Yeah. And so because of that, and again, I think it's this generation, at any place you work, you want a place of purpose. You want it to actually be in sync with your belief system. And then you're going to care more, you're going to like your job more. So for us, I think it's a privilege to be able to work at Red. Yeah.
I know, Kate, I know it's your first year and it's your second year. Is it first, second years, end of the first year there? Yes. First year as well. Okay, very exciting. I think you're going to be back next year. How are you feeling so far? You're enjoying the process so far?
I've already have plans for next year for you.
Really?
Excellent.
Of course.
So there you go. We're not even done yet. You've already started the planning for next year. I can't wait to see how you elevate these. This is already perfection. These are incredible.
And she can mail them anywhere in the country.
Is that true? That you can mail these anywhere in the country? Where do people go if they want to get a box of these?
So we ship nationwide on danasbakery.com. You can buy us at our store in New York City. And we can ship anywhere. So just go online, order your box, and $5 from every purchase goes to Red, which, Deborah, as you were saying, I'm now a mother. I'm a new mother. So for me, hearing the facts about educating myself and really finding out the facts about how so many women are infected, 20 cents a day can really help prevent AIDS being passed on to all these unborn babies. When I was given the opportunity to really get involved with Red, I jumped at it because it was such a personal cause for me now, and it really does such good. You guys are doing great things, so we're happy. We're happy to be involved. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking over there. I got this signal. I got to turn it over to the audience. I always promise them we get to take some questions, and I'm a man of my word. But Deborah, thank you so much for being here with us. Everybody, thank you for being here.
Having us.
But just to echo everything everyone said, it is an absolute pleasure working with you and your team every year, and the door is always open, and we always want you to come back and tell us all the amazing things. There's so much we didn't have time to get to. You got to go to red.org, and you got to follow at Red because there, like you said, there's the Bonnaroo Red Supper, there's the Blaze Pizza, there's everything you guys are doing here in New York, Chicago, LA, all over the country. So anybody, anywhere, you can enjoy, you can partake, you can be a part of this wonderful campaign. Let's go ahead. We got some microphones in the room. I want to get some questions in here. First one looks like it's going to be right here.
Hi. I was wondering, what is, for each of you, what is like the number one thing about Eat Red or about the AIDS crisis that you want people to know when they cross paths with you?
I guess I'll go.
Good one, yeah. That's a great one.
I just think education. I don't think that people are aware how easy it is to help prevent or save a life. And if we can make that message clear and make it more accessible for people to get information just by doing something that they love, whether it's buying macaroons from us or it's going to have a great experience, just helping the mission, really.
And I would say that the funds that we're raising, of course, are extremely important, and we're so glad. And when we hear, really how effective Red is with this money and how far it can go, it's great. But also the awareness is a really important element of this as well. And as you get to build an association with Red and understand what the organization does and follow it throughout the years, you're buying a ticket to a dinner makes a great contribution, but really becoming a fan and associating yourself with this cause is like a more long-term thing that we can help people achieve.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, how do you understand that there's a positive message? Like, you probably don't know people that have died of AIDS, right? So all of a sudden you're like, oh, is that off the table, and should I still care? Mixed with the jeopardy. So in 2002, it was 1,500 mothers every day that passed HIV on to their babies. Now it's 400 a day, and you want to just shout that instead of bad news always coming to the front of the internet. You'd love to have that stat of good news come to the forefront, but then you pause and you say, really, 400 mothers a day pass this disease on to their baby when it's preventable? Like, we still have a lot to do, and so it has to keep top of mind, but it's an infectious disease. If we can stop it being passed on to a new generation, you then have an AIDS-free generation. And so people coming up won't need to know about AIDS because we can get it off the planet by 2030.
I used to volunteer. I grew up in Thailand, and AIDS was big there and still is. And I volunteer at an orphanage that kids are HIV positive. And imagine 2 or 3 year olds, like have that bright future in their eyes, but they know, that it's counted. And to me, it is real.
Yeah.
But doing this, everybody can have a chance to change something. Yeah. You cherish your own self by eating good food that we can provide, but at the same time, what we do, how you live your life, can have a wonderful, huge impact to save someone's lives. And I think that is something that we can, together we can.
Nice.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and in a time where there is so much going on globally that can be overwhelming or that can be frustrating or be negative, you're right. This is a preventable disease. This is something we can do.
And we can all agree on, right? Now, everything's polarized, and so let's start with common ground. Do we all believe that every life has equal value? Yes. Yes. Do we all believe that where you're born shouldn't determine whether you live or die? It seems like a very basic thing. But the babies that you were describing, if they're not on life-saving medication, they're dead before their 5th birthday. And the medication costs 20 cents a day. So shouldn't we make sure in those orphanages?
Absolutely. Red.org. Follow them at Red. We've got, one more. Okay, one more. That means I talked a lot. I'm sorry, guys. We've got time for one more. We're going to go right here in the front.
Hi. So I was wondering how much collaboration there is between different restaurants or bakeries or organizations to see how they can participate, and how long does it come up to create an idea like a red macaroon or something else, cocktail, to see what would be good for the campaign.
No, you're so smart to raise that, because as you were saying, we do have to plan way out. And so we have partners meetings where we say, okay, Eat Red, what are some crazy concepts that we can come up with? Because we're only as good as our next good idea, right? And we don't come up with those ideas. We have creative people that are just geniuses that say, what about this? Oh, what about this? What if we did this on a rooftop? And what if we, like, it's just always got to be something new and different to break through the clutter. Because how else would I get to you? Seriously, right? So it's got to be something innovative, different, you know, maybe what you were going to do anyway. If you're in the Apple store and there's a white phone and a red phone, just get the red one because you're going to save somebody's lives. You're going to get the phone anyway, right. You know, and so that's the same with, you know, it could be a pickle. It could be like, you know, it's a little wacky. But, you know, last year we had food trucks, you know, and, you know, we just make sure also that it's very democratic. So we also, you know, do experiences. I think that if you watch, you know, red.org, there'll be some surprise and delight. Like all of a sudden somebody's going to win, you know, be able to go to PlaceInvaders and different things. You know, we make sure that you don't have to be the deep pockets. We have companies that we work with that can do it. There's certainly wealthy people that come to the table. You move the needle by doing the smallest of thing, by just sharing something or whatever, because the cumulative of that is billions of impressions. It's billions. And then all of a sudden, believe it or not, governments are like, wow, youth actually still care about this. Wow, all those chefs care about this. Wow, those companies care about this. Perhaps we should too. So it does affect policy in the long run. And, you know, it's really hard to create a movement, and we can't do it alone.
Well, thankfully, you're not doing it alone. We're doing it together. It's so amazing to have all of you here today. And I have to, on the heels of that question, just ask Dana and Hung. I have half an idea here, like a Thai iced tea macaroon kind of thing. You wanna?
Done.
You wanna talk about that?
Kind of disgusting, though.
Okay.
But okay.
Okay, good. No, I would kick myself for not bringing that up publicly.
Genius, sheer genius.
I want to thank everybody for being here, for your questions. For those tuning in at home, of course, remember, this isn't just in New York. This is all over the country. There's so many amazing things you can do, so many opportunities and so many ways to give back. Delicious ways, fun ways, exciting ways. Red.org. Follow them at Red. And everybody make a ridiculous amount of noise and join me in thanking Deb Dugan for being here, Angie Marr, Hong Thaimee, Katie Smith-Adair, and Dana Pollack. Please keep going. Keep going.